Hi, and welcome back to Jen and Dan's Natural Healing with Plants. I am Jen. I'm a health educator, a coach, and a master herbalist, and I'm here with Dan.
Hey, I'm Dan, your exercise specialist and fellow master herbalist. Today, we're diving into a crucial topic that affects many aspects of our health: inflammation. We'll explore what inflammation does to the body and how we can cool it down with the right foods and lifestyle choices and herbs.
Yes, so I think so many people don't understand the inflammation is more than like swelling, like your arm hurting and stuff like that. Like inflammation can be going on inside of the body too, where maybe you don't see it. You don't know really that it's going on. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, Jen, inflammation is the body's natural response to injury or infection. That's how we usually think about it. You cut yourself or strain a muscle or break a leg and it's going to swell up.
Right.
So a lot of people, that's what they think about. But what we're talking about today is there's this low level chronic inflammation that happens inside our bodies, like in our blood vessels and our organs and our heart. And this is called acute inflammation. And it's a short term, it's not, I'm sorry, injury is an acute inflammation. We're talking about chronic inflammation that happens and it leads to issues like heart disease, diabetes, arthritis, and even certain cancers. This chronic inflammation can damage healthy tissues and organs. If you look at the research now, they're linking chronic inflammation to pretty much every disease that you hear about today.
Exactly. I know in my world, the autoimmune world, um, there's lots of inflammation going on that, especially in the autoimmune world, your body's attacking itself in there. And so, like you said, if you cut your arm or you bang your knee or something, we want that inflammation. So it's called arachidonic acid, that's released to help heal that area. We get blood run to that area, um, providing everything that we need to heal and repair for anything that was injured during either that bang or break or tear or whatever, which we want that. But when it goes on continuously, that long term, we can think about, there's lots of high heat, lots of blood. If it's something like an autoimmune condition, it's your body attacking itself. And so it just keeps attacking and attacking and attacking and attacking. And so you're just getting more and more damage. And so with autoimmune, we didn't give a medical disclaimer, so interruption. So I'm giving a medical disclaimer. We are not doctors. We do not diagnose. We do not treat. We do not prescribe. And we do like to talk about different health conditions, and we encourage you to learn more. Don't just follow our advice. Take the information, what's sitting well with you, and then do your own research. So, in autoimmune diseases, your body is attacking itself, and so it's creating more and more inflammation. So in the early stages of autoimmune, it's very easy to reverse that. Now in the conventional medical system, they will tell you it's irreversible. It just keeps getting worse and worse. We just up your meds as you go along. But that is not true. We just had to figure out why your body's attacking itself. What triggered it and what's going on. And so normally is some sort of food sensitivity, or something that we need to or tackle, but then there's other underlying things that maybe are not apparent. And so sometimes we do a lot of digging and digging and digging. But as you can see, if your body's constantly attacking itself, you're constantly getting more and more inflammation. The longer that goes, the harder it is to reverse that. And so it's something that we want to find out soon. But another thing, I'm going on a tangent, but for most people, it takes like 5 years to get a diagnosis. They start feeling bad, but you just kind of get ignored, or you're just a hypochondriac, or it's just all in your head, and that can go on for 5 years. You can go through 5 different doctors before you finally get a diagnosis, unfortunately. So that's a long time of damage that needs to be reversed. But the same thing happens in the heart. You can't feel high cholesterol, but high cholesterol is increasing inflammation in your arteries and your veins, and you can't feel that, but that inflammation is occurring in there. And so we have to identify it and then work on ways to cool that. So what are some things that we can do to cool inflammation?
Of course, we like to start with food, anti-inflammatory foods. Not
Yes.
just that, but we get rid of foods that actually cause inflammation.
Yes.
But some of the best foods are fruits and vegetables. berries and greens and tomatoes. Well, tomatoes on the list. I don't know. Some people don't agree with tomatoes, but
Nightshade. Hmm.
yeah,
Hmm.
berries and leafy greens. Most of your fruits. I'd say pretty much all the vegetables.
Yeah. All the colors,
Yeah,
all the colors of the rainbow. Yes. And so I think that's probably why, um, well, tomatoes are high in lycopene, which is a wonderful nutrient, phytonutrient for the heart. And so that that can be really great for inflammation unless you're sensitive to nightshades. If you're sensitive to nightshades are eggplant, peppers, potatoes, and tomatoes. So for some people, not everybody, sometimes those things need to be excluded temporarily while we work on healing, and then you can add them back in. But I strongly encourage everyone to eat whole food, plant-based foods as close to the way they are, and when they come out of the earth. We want, apples. An apple is much better than eating something processed with apples. I don't know why I always say apples. And maybe just because I love apples. Or maybe Adam and Eve, the first thing with apples.
yeah.
I don't know, but or kale or romaine or something. We want to eat that. Zucchini. Zucchini, eating a whole zucchini is much more nutritious than eating zucchini bread. And so we want to make sure that you're eating it as close to its original state when you're eating those fruits and vegetables. So that's very, very, very anti-inflammatory. And eating all the colors. If you can eat all the different colors in every meal, that is ideal. That can be challenging, especially if you're not already eating all the colors. And so your goal could be just getting all the colors in. Something else that's very helpful is healthy fats. And so a lot of people avoid fats, they're afraid of fats, but we actually do have some essential fatty acids. You do have to have some fat. And so I like that also in a whole form. Avocado, nuts and seeds, especially chia seeds, flax seeds, and hemp seeds. Those are omega-3. They're very anti-inflammatory. Here in the United States, we eat a lot of plant oils. Most people eat foods that have been cooked in oils, baked in oils, roasted in oils. They eat potato chips, they eat French fries, even snack cakes and danishes. Those things, they're all cooked in oil. They're fried in oil. So those are very, very, very inflammatory. And that creates arachidonic acid, which I mentioned before. So arachidonic acid is great if we get cut. We want a little bit of arachidonic acid, but we don't want too much because that can create too much inflammation. And so when we eat these plant oils, and especially when we're heating them, we're creating more and more arachidonic acid. And that can be cooled with these omega-3 fatty acids, which some people do eat cold water fatty fish. If you do that, make sure it's wild caught cold water fatty fish. Dan and I, neither one of us eat any animal products at all. And so we prefer to get our omega-3s from seeds, chia seeds, flax seeds, hemp seeds, and algae, spirulina, chlorella. Those are better sources of omega-3s for us. But we want those because that helps with inflammation and cut out, and Dan mentioned we do need to get rid of those inflammatory foods. Stop cooking in oil. Stop eating foods that have been cooked in oil. We don't want any of those heated oils because that's very inflammatory.
Yeah, the oils are really very inflammatory. And then the other foods that we want to, stop because they cause inflammation. Of course, are going to be your processed foods. It's going to be
Yes.
your red meat. It's too much red meat. Anything in McDonald's is going to inflame you.
Yes.
Fast food, stay away from fast food. Fast food is poisonous. It just,
Yes.
you know,
Right. Right. Yeah, no
other
fast
foods that
food.
help. Yeah, you go ahead, Jennifer.
Well, dairy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and so that one can be really controversial. People say, yeah, but my grandparents or great grandparents, they drank lots of milk. And we have to look, dairy 100 something years ago was not pasteurized. Dairy today is pasteurized, and we have all of the animals are grouped together. So if you have your own, I don't know, humans are not made to drink cow's milk. But if you had your own cow or milking your own cow and drinking it fresh and raw, maybe it's not as inflammatory as what you buy in the store. It's extremely inflammatory. If you think about it, it's those heated proteins, it's pasteurized for our safety. when they homogenize it and they pasteurize it, that just becomes a congealed product that's extremely inflammatory. And, think about, babies, puppies, everything, all mammals, they are weaned. They stop drinking milk. We should not be drinking dairy, and that includes cheeses. We should not be eating those things. And they activate different centers in our brain that make us crave them. We kind of get addicted to those things. I know for me, when we gave it up, I was like, what do we eat? Because we ate it in every single meal. And so it's, learning to break that habit. But now it's disgusting. At the time, I didn't think we'd ever be able to give it up, but that's extremely inflammatory. And so that's one of the things that if your health is a concern to you, which it should be, then you need to let the dairy go.
Yeah, that's the one food you remember one of our best teachers said, if you don't want to give up anything, please give up dairy. It's mucus
Yes.
forming, it's inflammatory, it's disgusting. And like Jennifer saying, if you've been off it for a while, cheese smells like rotten. It's just nasty. And then milk, oh, anyway,
Yes.
there's a lot of alternatives now. There's a lot of alternatives. You have a lot of nut milks and things like that if you still have an addiction.
Mhm.
But I don't even recommend vegan cheese because it's full of oils and things like that, but it can be a transitional food. I understand about transitioning. So other foods that help with inflammation are the whole grains like brown rice, quinoa, and oats because they're high in fiber, and fiber helps reduce inflammation.
Right. And I want to talk about that for a minute too. So oats, oat groats, those are oats in their whole form. Oat groats can be anti-inflammatory. Quick cooking oats would be inflammatory. And so we have to pay attention to the form that our foods are in. For those of us here in the South, if I ate stone ground grits, that would be better. I can't eat corn. That's going to be much better for me than instant grits. Instant grits are highly inflammatory. And so you want to pay attention. We want as close to the whole form as possible. And then there's culinary spices, extremely anti-inflammatory, especially turmeric and ginger. Everybody hears about those quite often, but any of your aromatic herbs are also anti-inflammatory. Throw in some oregano, some basil, rosemary, all those culinary herbs, and cayenne, of course, we have to mention, very anti-inflammatory. And so there's lots of foods that can help you cool inflammation.
So I think we cover the foods and spices. What about other lifestyle changes we can make that can help lower our inflammation?
Yes. So exercise.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, our bodies are made to move. And so making sure you move every day. I think Dr. Greger says 42 minutes a day.
That's
Um,
very specific.
Yes, the making sure that you're moving every day. That doesn't mean training for a marathon. That can create inflammation. But moving your body, putting a little bit of pressure on your heart, walking, not just a lazy walk, but a brisk walk, but even just getting out in nature can be calming to the body and help with inflammation. For me, the most difficult thing for me is stress management, taking time out throughout the day, something that I'm really working on now, but taking breaks throughout the day. So not just 5 minutes one day, but taking breaks all throughout the day, getting out, stopping what you're doing. Like if you're like me, I can get all tied up in the moment working on a project. And hours later, I haven't even taken a break. And so making sure you're taking those breaks um, is very, very important. And some people do deep breathing exercises, some people journal, but even just doing a hobby throughout the day or going out and take the dog for a walk, go for a hike in the woods, go for a swim, which could be exercise and stress management depending on your swim, something like that can be great. Making sure you're getting enough sleep. So most of us need 7 to 9 hours of good quality sleep. That's sleeping in a dark room, sleeping a solid 7 to 9 hours, waking up feeling refreshed, not waking up tired. What else do
Yes,
you
and of
think?
course we want to avoid smoking or quit smoking. Of course, that's got to be a no-brainer in 2024. But and alcohol intake, we want to make sure that we're not drinking too much alcohol. I don't drink any, but I know some people have a little bit, and a little bit is okay, but it's probably better not to have any.
Yeah. Yeah, especially if you're inflamed. If you're already
Yeah,
inflamed, then definitely no. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, no tobacco or alcohol. Yes. So let's talk about some herbs that we don't think of. We mentioned culinary herbs. What are some herbs that you like to use for inflammation?
Of course, we touched on cayenne. I think, I love cayenne pepper. It's the master herb. It's actually anti-inflammatory. It does
Yes.
a lot of other things. So, Boswellia is one that a lot of people, it's not on their radar, but it's a really good herb for inflammation.
Oh, I
It's
love that
also
one.
known as frankincense. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I love that one. Yeah, we've had really great results with that with knee inflammation. Um, Somebody in my family was having really bad problems with their knee, and we started using Boswellia, and that really helped with that.
Did you take it orally or put
Yeah,
it
we had
on?
it as a powder. Hmm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah,
saw a
but
study where it actually helped knee arthritis. You're right. Osteoarthritis in the knee. Yeah.
hmm yeah, and the essential oil can help too. The Boswellia essential oil.
Rosemary is one that I don't think people think about being medicinal, but it's really highly medicinal plant and it
Yeah,
helps with inflammation. It's really good for your
that's what
brain
I was
health.
thinking too. Yeah, and circulation to the brain. Yeah, that's another one
Mm.
that I really like. Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to think of some other, a lot of times I like to think of adaptogens, which are not necessarily anti-inflammatory, but they're calming. And so I feel like that is also helpful
Oh
in the
yeah.
body.
So like chamomile and was it what that tree you have, Jennifer? The one you make tea with, the pink
Oh,
flowers?
mimosa. Uh-huh.
Yes.
Mimosa.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And I was thinking of like a Luthero, an
Mm.
ashwagandha.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And then even like some of the gut healing herbs like marshmallow and calendula and those herbs as well.
And we can't forget white willow bark. That's another good one.
Yes. Yeah, yeah, and especially for pain.
Hmm.
Hmm. So do you have white willow bark? And if so, how do you use yours?
I buy it and I use it. I make a tincture and sometimes I make a tea with it. I like to use both forms because, as teas have different constituents compared to a tincture, so it's good to use both sometimes.
Right?
I don't know if I have it. I mean, I may have it around here. I don't. I usually buy most of my herbs. I'm not much of a forager, so
Yeah,
unfortunately, you
I
know,
have mine as a tincture. I have willow as a tincture.
yeah.
Yeah. So it's funny as I'm trying to think of other herbs that we use for inflammation, but all I keep coming up are culinary herbs. Basil, cinnamon. Cinnamon's a great one.
Garlic's really
Um,
good for inflammation.
yeah,
It's in
oregano,
culinary. Yeah,
mm, cloves.
yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people keep cloves. Like you can even just carry cloves around with you and put them in your mouth, after meals. If you're somewhere where you can't go to brush your teeth or something, um, it's antibacterial, has, but it also is very anti-inflammatory. If you have toothaches or something like that, a clove can help with that. Some people buy clove toothpaste.
Well, I think it's good news. A lot of these are culinary because people can add into their food every day, so they can keep their inflammation down. I think it's
Mhm.
it's kind of you know, there's a divine plan, and so a lot of these herbs we can use in our
Exactly.
cooking, you
Yeah, there's
know?
a reason why we have them. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I think a lot of what we have available to us to help with inflammation, there's a reason why they're here. And a lot of times the inflammation, we bring the inflammation on ourselves by eating inflammatory foods, not taking time out to calm the body, or not moving the body. So not moving the body can create inflammation as well. We're made to move. When we don't move our body, our lymph system doesn't move. Remember, it doesn't have a pump. We have to contract those muscles to get the lymph system um, to move. That's moving your garbage out of your body as well. So you have to move. If you're not moving, then that can create inflammation as well. Do you have anything else you'd like to add?
Yeah, I would just say also negative thoughts and hatred, things like that.
Yeah,
Those are probably
yeah,
some of the most powerful
yeah.
inflammatory things that you could possibly do. I mean, now they're showing that just one bout of anger increases your risk of a heart attack by I think 30%. And that's just a
Right.
decently healthy person. So if
Yeah.
you're walking around negative all the time and you hate this and you hate this person and this and that, that is like self-destructive behavior.
Yes. Yeah.
So
And it stays in the body. I can't remember how long it stays in the body. If like just one anger outburst, it can last hours in the body too.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you
And
gotta
forgiveness.
get your emotions in check. Yes, forgiveness and love.
Mhm. Right.
Those are anti-inflammatory. And so
Yes.
I always tell people if it's hard for them to love a person, get a pet and work on loving the people after that, you know?
Yes. Yeah, that's great advice. Yes, we'll end on that. So thank you for joining us today. If you have anything you would like to add, you have herbs that we did not mention, or you've had your own personal experience with certain foods or herbs that helped you with your inflammation, we would love to hear it. Please share, please hit subscribe, and we want to hear from you. So thank you.